Hey, I'm Taylor, a business consultant and strategist, and I'm here to teach you that you can scale your business sustainably. This is Simply Business, your playbook for structure, clarity, and strategy that grows your business without costing your lifestyle. Let's get into it. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. If you are new here, welcome to Simply Business. If that you have been around for some time, welcome back. I am so excited to sit down for today's episode. I'm seated at the podcast studio. If you're watching this episode, as you'll be able to see, I've got my coffee in hand, and I am sitting down to do a bit of a about me episode, if you will. And it's always such a weird episode to just constantly talk about yourself for an entire episode. But the purpose of this being is, since the last episode I recorded about myself and kind of getting to know me, it has been a hot minute and things have changed, that is for sure. A lot of my perspectives have changed. I have learnt so much along the way. Obviously, you know, my entire journey hasn't changed, but there's some things to add, if you will. So sit down, grab a coffee, grab a tasty drink if you want. Chuck this in for like your morning hot girl walk, or if you've got a long drive, save it for then. But I'm excited to kind of just allow you guys to come into my life. I feel like I'm actually quite a closed off person, not in a bad sense, but I actually find it difficult to talk about myself, right? And I don't really share too much, like as much as I share a lot of my life online. These are a lot of things that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know about me or my journey or what's really gotten me here. So I'm excited to dive in. I might start of like where I am right now, and then we'll do a rewind and we'll kind of connect the dots. I feel like is like the cleanest way to do this. Right now, at the time of recording this, it is the 15th of December, 2025, and it's going to be so weird to watch this back because right now I am also 18 and a half weeks pregnant. So that's the biggest life change, if you will, bit of a curveball, that it's going to be so weird when I'm listening to this and I'm like snuggled up with my newborn in less than 6 months time, or about 6 months time, which is freaking wild. But that's where I am right now. I have Strategic Haus, which is officially a company as of this year, and we are a consulting agency for small businesses and female founders. I still do work with a handful of male clients and I absolutely love them, but that's predominantly what we do. And this year has been such a huge year in the business really coming to be the business that it is. And I want to kind of now rewind to like, okay, how did I get here? Because this year has been the biggest year of business financially. We've crossed over multiple six figures and we have officially become a company. The podcast has grown massively. So I'm really excited to share that. But I think one thing, I want to chuck a few lessons in here along the way, or some reasonings behind like my why behind things, and it'll give an insight of my values and my approach to business. But the first point that I want to make is, I think a lot of the time in business we hear, you know, getting to multi-millions and having a multi-million-dollar company and all of the things, which is fucking incredible. Do not get me wrong. And I don't want this to be taken out of context, but something I've really learned along the way in growing my business for the past nearly 4 years now has been that sometimes bigger doesn't always mean better. And sometimes it does. And I love watching my friends and other colleagues just absolutely fucking thrive and just kill it. Like I love watching people in business kill it. I love watching, you know, the likes of Grace Beverly and women in business just doing incredible things. But what I've come to realize, especially this year, it was a huge intention for me, was to actually scale back my time. And I think a lot of the time you hear this in the coaching industry of like, you can work less and make more and you can manifest all these things, like, so I love it. But what I've really come to realize is I want to be an intentional worker. I work incredibly hard, and I have worked so incredibly hard for the past 10 years to get to where I am right now. And I've done it at a young age, yes. I should also mention I am 24 at the time of recording this. I just turned 24 in September. But my point being in this is I actually want a business that allows me to have a life where I get to actually completely switch off on weekends with my partner, especially now coming into unintentionally this year, I was really prepping for this season without even knowing that that was going to be the case, because my pregnancy was a complete surprise, is that I don't feel stressed going into this season of now having a newborn, because I've built my business where I can work less hours and I know that I can make more, and I've learned the skills of efficiently outsourcing and building up a small team of people around me and building the right systems that actually work for my business. So I'm not manually handling shit that I don't need to in my business. So sometimes bigger doesn't always mean that you're still taking home like the same amount of profits, because you can have a business that turns over 400,000 in a year, 500,000 in a year, and you as the founder can take home a good salary and have a good fucking sleep score at night, have a great relationship with your partner, your friends, your family, have time for your baby, have time for your health and going to the gym. If it meant that I was, doubling that, especially in that phase when you're going from like a few 100,000 in a year to $1 million, like, it's head down, fucking bum up. And I've seen so many stories. Like, I'm so lucky and we're so blessed in a world of podcasts and all of the things to be able to learn from people that are a few steps ahead of us. And I have just seen too many founders, especially women, and I think that's huge for women, is women in business. Like, we are built different to men, and really being able to operate in the best way possible as a woman. I've seen so many women where they've had that goal of scaling to $1 million, but then they are having to have wine every single night to be able to wind down, and relying on alcohol and losing their health and fitness and not having a good relationship or having no relationships. And I just didn't want that for myself. And it's always been one of those like challenges where you see things online of like, should I do this? Should I strive for that? Like, I know that I could, and like, I have no doubt in that, but it's almost been this intentional thing of, I'm going to choose my heart in other areas. And that's how I've really built the company that I have today, which I'm so incredibly proud of. And being able to move into a season of, like maternity leave and all of these things, like I genuinely don't feel stressed. I always thought I would feel really stressed, or that business was going to go downhill. I'm like, I can see exactly how my work weeks are going to be no more than 12 hours in a work week, and I'm still going to be able to generate multi-5-figure months for my company with ease. And I've also seen other women in business that have had newborns and their mums, and their business pops off and they absolutely thrive as a result as well, because I believe you're so much more intentional with your time. So that was a little sidetrack deviation, but that's a huge piece of why I do what I do. And if you're listening to this, potentially you're new around here and you want kind of insight into my approach to business, that's my approach to business. I'm not the business consultant that just cares about how many sales did you make this week, and cool, you signed 10 new clients and go sign another 5. Like, it's not what I care about. Like, when I'm checking in with my clients, I'm like, what's your capacity? Are you being a present mom? Are you being a partner that you're actually proud of? That's what matters at the end of the day, because life is too short and life can be taken from us at any point in time. And I think it's really important to anchor into that and understand that, because I think a lot of the time I always come into this thing of, if we're told, I know this is a bit morbid, but like, we have a year to live, what are you doing? You're probably traveling more, you're having intentional time with your partner. And I think it's important to know we can have both. We can have the business that we want, and we can have the life that we want, and it's just going to look a little bit different. And yeah, that's what's really, really important for me, is working smarter and more intentionally. So that's what I've been building this year, and that's how I'm here. If you know me, you know I'm a bit of a data type A nerd. And when we were checking our podcast stats the other day, we realized only 40% of listeners to our show are subscribed. In true Taylor fashion, I've set a goal of getting that number to at least 60%. So if you've been getting any kind of value from these episodes, it would mean the world to me if you could hit follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. It genuinely helps me reach more people, continue to bring on bigger guests, and create more content that's going to allow you to grow your business. So if you haven't already, take 2 seconds, hit follow, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Okay, love you, bye. But if we're to like completely rewind, even into high school days, like childhood, all of the things. So my parents had me really young. My mum was 18 when she found out she was pregnant. She just turned 19 when she had me. My dad was 21. So I feel like that gives also a bit of a dynamic to how I grew up. I grew up with parents that more so felt like friends, and we were growing up together, which now, especially being 24, I feel like I'm having a teen pregnancy, but I'm not. I feel so young, but like in the grand scheme of things, like yes, you are, but also no, you're not. Just the fact that my mum had a 5-year-old at my age is fucking wild to me. So that was the dynamic I grew up in. And because my parents had me so young, they had no choice but to fucking work hard. Like my parents had like hand-me-down clothes and all of the things, and I didn't have like I never went without in my upbringing. But if I was to look back in comparison to my upbringing to my brothers, they were vastly different, and I don't feel like I had, you know, an underprivileged upbringing and things like that. But I think a lot of the time people can look at me and go, oh fuck, like da da da, like insert the fucking thing. But I have seen what my parents have been able to build from not having very much at all to creating an incredible life where I think when I was, by the age I was 12, I think I'd traveled to like 15 countries or something like that. So I know the power of hard work. I'm also a 4th generation business owner. So my dad has his business, his dad had a business, and his dad had a business. So I'm the first female, if you will. Well, not even if you will, I just am. In that, to be a business owner. But when people say, you know, entrepreneurship, I fucking hate that word anyway, but business is in their blood. Like business is genuinely in my blood. And I think I've just always thought like this is common knowledge, this is general knowledge, like everyone knows this, but they don't, just because of, you know, conversations we'd have around the dinner table. It wasn't even really about business necessarily. It was just the type of human that you are, how you operate in the world, how you move your money, how you're intentional with money. Like that's all just very much I don't want to say come naturally to me, but that's just what I was a part of. So that really shaped for me, I think, the type of person and the type of woman that I am, the type of women, the type of woman that I am. And yeah, that's kind of been my background. I was someone growing up, especially in sports and academics in school. I was always that kid that would try so hard, but I still would barely like scrape by. So I've always had to learn that I have to work a lot harder than other people to get certain results. So whether that was making the netball teams, which I barely fucking made, even though I would train really, really hard, or academics in school, like I'd really focus and like I'd really try, but then I'd still maybe be like a C or B student, which is such a classic like business owner trait, I feel, is getting shitty marks in school. But that's a whole other conversation, the school system. But yeah, that was kind of my like growing up, and I always felt like I would say the biggest wound, like when I've gone through personal development work, was the not enoughness. No matter how much you do, it's still not enough. You're always going to be second best. So that's been like the biggest thing that I've really had to work through in my own personal journey, and then also coming into my business as well, because anyone that has a business knows it's like personal development on steroids. So that was growing up. I had a pretty normal childhood, I would say, and went straight out of school into studying at uni. So I was actually the first year where that you could major in social media at university. So it was a communications degree, and I majored in social media. I minored in creative advertising, and I loved study. And I loved uni in the sense that I was actually learning things that I cared about. Of course, uni chucks in like the random fucking subjects that have no relevance that you're paying for, and you're like, why the fuck am I paying for this? But I really, really liked uni in that sense. I did an internship in my first year of university, which I didn't have to, but I was always that person that was willing to just put myself out there. Like I got a job at 13 or 14, I think, so I could start earning my own money and saving that up. Bought my first car with my own money. Like I was always just doing my own thing. So I went to this event, and it was a social media workshop. I was definitely beyond like the content there. It was like very simple socials. But what was cool out of going to that was I actually met Bronte, who was starting her agency, social media agency. And she was like, hey, would you want to do an internship? I was like, I would love to. So I did one day a week for I think a few months. I remember it was right before my 18th birthday, because we were talking about what I was going to do at my 18th birthday. So I was doing my internship at 17 because I graduated. I just turned 17 and then graduated. So it was that first year of uni. So that was incredible in terms of getting that real experience. And then from there, I started freelancing and just working with like, honestly, family, friends and things like that, doing their social media. So like doing my dad's business and a family friend, they had like a mortgage broking company. So I was doing their socials freelance. Then I kind of came to realize that I still felt like other people were my boss, which I don't know if it's the stubbornness that I get from my dad or what it is, but I was like, oh, I still don't like this because it still feels like someone's still in charge of me and I just want to be in charge. Like anyone that knows me, my friends will know this. I'm like, it is Taylor's way. And I've learned to get better at that since, you've got to adapt to people, but that's literally like what's in my like way of being. I'm like, no, but this way actually makes more sense. Do you know what I mean? So I really struggle with that. Hence the business owner side of things. But what I kind of realized was, why am I in doing this when I could actually just train someone and then they could be pretty well across it and pretty well good to do their socials? Because it was never businesses that it needed like deep strategy in their socials. It was like, posting listings for real estate agents and things like that. So I started doing training with social media businesses. So I remember going into like McGrath and helping with their socials and training them up, and I'd like put together a whole slide like that was custom to this business, right? And I would drive there and like have my little outfit on, and I was like, I'm living the best life. Like I'm a business owner, like I love this. And I was still working like part-time jobs and all of the things. I think I had like 2 or 3 jobs at the time. And then I think this was like end of 2020 maybe, I met one of my best friends now, Riley, and she was health and fitness coaching. And as a lot of you may know, the health and fitness industry really had to pivot throughout COVID with all of the shutdowns and lockdowns and all of the things, and she had gone online. And I was like, okay, so you're health and fitness coaching people online. Why am I because again, the business brain, and I was talking to Dad about this, and what a lot of people don't appreciate with work and business, okay, I'm losing an hour, if not an hour and a half in fuel in travel to get there, kilometers in my car, and then I'm prepping all of these slides, and then, the little talk in between, and then you're grabbing a coffee, like insert the thing, and I'm like, I can just be so much more efficient if I was just online. So I was like, maybe I could do this. And at the time, my friend Riley and I were like, do we move to the Gold Coast for a season in our life? I was single, I was living at home with my parents, and we're like, maybe we do it. And I remember we were driving to a friend's house in Brisbane, and we're having a conversation about me starting this business or like moving it online. And I was like, yeah, I just like keep having this feeling, like, what if it fails? But I forget, like, I'm not going to be on the bones of my ass. I can just go get a job on the Gold Coast. And she said to me, she's like, Taylor, why do you just like go straight to but like the worst case scenario and that you're going to fail? I was like, because I always do. And I still vividly remember this conversation. Hands are on the steering wheel, and Riley had done like all like NLP, mindset coaching, all of the things. And she's like unpacking all of the things. And it was, the whole like not good enough piece and like all of these things, which it's funny, right? Because I think a lot of the time we think it always comes from parents. It was never the way. Like I never felt like I let my parents down or anything like that. It was like always other people and then myself. So it was interesting because I think a lot of people, it's like they're never good enough for their parent. It's never really felt that way for me. Anywho, tears are down my face. I'm like, holy fuck, my whole life has just been like laid out in front of me. This is crazy. And I was like, I need a coach. She was like, yeah, you do. So I remember going on Instagram, finding a coach. The first one that I found, I was like, she looks cool. Reached out to her. It was $4,500 to work with her for 3 months. I was like, oh my God. I think I applied and I reached out to her, but then I didn't realize the deposit was $1,000 to get started. And I was like, I do not have that. She was like, you have 48 hours for the deposit. I'm like, okay. I remember going home and talking to Dad, and I was like, I need $1,000 for this deposit. Like, I don't have enough. Can you lend me some money and I'll pay you back? And he was like, no, if you're doing this, like, you're going to make it work. And I remember thinking he was a fucking villain at the time. And I remember cracking open this fucking piggy bank and literally scraping together my pennies, banking that, I think it was maybe $300. So I maybe had like $1,100, And keep in mind too, like I did live at home at the time, but still felt like fucking life or death. And I asked her for like an extra 24 hours, paid the $1,000 deposit, and we got started. And I had no idea where the extra $3,500 was fucking coming from. And there was so much mindset work, but I think as well, because I was so like, I don't want to say stretched financially, because it's such a different stretch in the sense of, I think there's being stretched and then there's being like your safety is genuinely fucking compromised. And I think far too many people put themselves in like an actual compromising position. But I was like, okay, I'm going to fucking make this work. So we made it work. And I think I put out, I remember it took like 2 weeks for me to change my bio to say coach, because like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. It was like the whole, what's Sally from high school gonna think, and this person, and mum's fucking friend, and like insert the fucking thing. I had it. Like I think a lot of people forget that is like, it feels so big for you right now, but like everyone that has what you want has been there in some kind of capacity, and it's going to look different for everyone, but I was there. And there were so many things where I got big job offers for like an 80K salary with a car and a phone. Like the universe was dangling carrots, I remember, is what my coach at the time said. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking real. So that was kind of the position that I was in. And I remember changing my bio, starting to put out some content, and I put a waitlist up. This waitlist, Typeform has, you can have like 10 people fill out the form in a month, maybe, for the free subscription. That's what it was at the time. And I remember messaging my coach, and it had been up for like 2 days. And I was like, I need to pay for the subscription. Like this wait list is full. And I couldn't believe the people that were coming into it as well for social media coaching. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. And I remember I reached out to those people on the wait list, and I saw my first 3 clients. I can't remember how much I charged at the time. I want to say I charged maybe $1,200, or it was maybe $1,400 for 3 or 4 months. I want to say it was for 4 months of social media coaching with me. And it was like fortnightly calls, and we had Voxer and like all of the things, and we like mapped out their strategy. And I was like, I have fucking made it. Like I have actually made it. My second month of business, I think I ran a masterclass at the end of my first month. I had like 35 people in that, and it was paid. It's like $60. And then I ran another one, all on like social media, like trainings. So where that they fell with the sales, my second month in business ended up being a $10,000 month. And I was like, hello? Again, I've made it. But what a lot of people don't realize is I was actually working in like business development and admin at my dad's company at the time. And I was working 4 days a week, studying at uni part-time. I think I had 3 subjects, and I was starting this business. And my business was turning over. I remember I have a video on my like Snapchat of all places, because that's where I'd like do my video diary updates. And I was like, this month there's a $17,000 month. I was still working a few days a week, because like I mainly had like commitments that I needed to commit to. And I had the plan of when I was going to Europe with my girlfriends was kind of once I was like stopping. I had made those commitments, but at the same breath, money could just come into my business, because it wasn't this space of I fucking need this money for survival. It was like, I'm just going to build this business, and I have my own personal money that I take home from my job. That's my spendings. That's my car repayments. Insert the thing. That's food, whatever. And then my business, I could just reinvest it. And look, in hindsight, I probably reinvested a little bit too much, but it all got me to where I am. And in 2021, so the following year, maybe it was 2022, I can't even remember, but that's when I went to Europe with my best friends for a whole month. I spent over like 35 grand on this trip. I don't even know how. Girlies weren't efficient with money or travel, but I did all out of my own pocket. And my business was doing incredible, and I was investing in coaches, and I was just like fucking grinding, like truly fucking grinding. And like in that season too, I was getting up fucking like the crack of dawn to train. I'd go to a cafe, I'd do a bit of work on my business, and then I'd go work my job, and then I'd stay back at the job until like 6-7 o'clock at night, come home, sleep, eat dinner, sleep, do it all over again. And I remember at the time too, like I was having that season of my life where I was dating, like I wanted to find a partner, but I remember there was a guy I was seeing at the time. I was like, I can't see you. Like I have to give it all to my business. And people don't see that part of my journey, because you never really document it in real time of like, I told this guy I can't stop seeing, like I've got to stop seeing him. In hindsight, thank the Lord. But what I mean by that is like I have sacrificed so much where I have put my business first in order to actually get here. And a lot of people don't see that. You can just see the outcome and like the result. That has been my journey. And in that journey has been investing in a lot of coaches and mentors, none of which I regret, but I have spent a fucking lot of money. And that's what another fun fact / lesson is. I have really learned how many dodgy people there are in this coaching industry that have no qualifications, that say they're a business coach, that don't give any fucking business coaching. And when I really look at it, it's like there is business and there is the human behind the business. And they're two very fucking different things. And you can't be a business coach and then make everything about the human behind the business, because sometimes it's just about the business, right? If cash flow isn't effective in the business, we can go into childhood trauma and look at where that money was scarce as a child, but sometimes it's just fucking fact. You need to know, okay, how are you effectively managing the finances? Because we can still understand, you know, money was scarce growing up and all of these things and your beliefs around money. We can look at that, and it's important for the human behind the business and how you operate in a day-to-day. However, you can move through that and then you don't understand, okay, but tax, what am I putting away for it? And then you get hit with this tax bill that's like 40K and you're like, what? Do you know what I mean? So it's so important that like there is actually business and the company and how you're running things and how you're doing things. And too often I invested in these people that were business coaches, but everything came back to, and how's that your shadow? Right? And again, I don't regret anything, and it's been so powerful in like the human I am, and it's impacted the human I am so fucking much. But what was really fucking missing was like the tangible business advice. For context for you guys, I was saying that Europe trip that I had. So I need to do like the maths on this. It must have been 2022. Must have been 2022. The years, I'm like, I can't even. 2023 was the Europe trip, I think. Anywho, business has just been on this high, right? And then maybe it was 2021 then that I started my business. I don't even know. Don't get too attached to the timelines because it's all a blur right now. I could go back and look. But anywho, had the Europe trip in 2023. I'd met my partner 6 months before that, which is a whole other story in itself, but we love him. Absolute fucking king. I might go into a story about that in a second. But Europe trip. Business is thriving, like 30K month in Europe. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Anywho, living my best life. Come home from Europe and I was working with a coach at the time, one of said business coaches, that nothing came back to fucking actual business. And I didn't know cash flow. I didn't know how to forecast my income. There was just so many moving parts. And then my business, when I say she declined, December, so like within a 5-month period, we were scraping by to like maybe hit an 8K month. And I was like, what the fuck? Because what had happened in the process of me investing in all of these business coaches that ended up being this mindset work is I ended up infusing that in my work. And I lost, like, strategy was made so fucking wrong. Like, it still is. But I was so strategic. I was so tangible, but it was made so wrong. It's like, Taylor, that's not what actually gets results for your clients and da-da-da-da. Taking on every fucking other man and their dog's way of doing things. I started doing that and then wondering why business was fucking plummeting, right? Because I'm like, this isn't even how I do it. Like, I'm taking on all of these other people that are further ahead and are meant to be mentors, but they're fucking my business so hard. And I remember having a conversation with my dad in January of 2024, and he's like, how's business? And I was like, so fucking shit. Like, so shit. I don't know what's happening. I'm not me in it. And it was a drive home from Brisbane. So I was in the car with him for like an hour and a half. And I remember having this conversation with my dad, and I was in the back seat. My brother was in the front seat. I was just looking and I'm like, why the fuck have I been taking this business advice from people like my dad, like what they're celebrating in a year, my dad's company like will do in a month. Minimum. And I was like, why am I fucking listening to these fucking people on the internet where like their only credibility is that like, what? And dad's been doing this for 2 decades. Like, why am I not listening to him a little bit more? I think we have like an avoidance to listen to our parents. Classic, right? And I remember being like, I'm not a fucking coach. Like, I don't like this whole like responding to how the client, like the problem that they're facing. Like, so many problems can be avoided if we just looked into the fucking future and we just actually audited, rather than like the problem that we could identify in an audit. We could have just fucking put a solution there and it not have been a problem in 6 months that we need coaching around, like what I experienced. And I remember looking and I was like, I'm not a fucking coach. Like, I'm a consultant. Like, that's actually what I do. Like, I looked at the definition of a consultant. I was like, that's what I do. Like, that's what I want to do with clients, but I've been made so wrong for it. Changed everything around. I fucking basically burnt my business to the ground, started again. And I worked like a fucking dog in 2024 when I tell you, like, ask my partner, and it was like nights he'd be like upstairs after dinner, I'd be back down in the office, like fucking grinding my ass away, like working like a dog. That year I was like, I'm fucking building. And I built and built and built and like brought things back to a healthy level again. And in around about October of that year, so 2024, I worked with my first ever consultant. When I say, I was like, I literally remember we had this lunch together where we're strategizing everything, and I cried like twice, because I was like, how have I invested 10 times the amount than like this session with you, and I've gotten so much out of this session. You've genuinely helped me. You've actually looked into the future. You know what you're fucking talking about. Like, it was actually devastating for me. Like, it was just like this feeling of like, what the fuck? But that's where so much changed for me in my business, because we actually looked at like, Taylor, how do you actually want to do business? And I remember her asking me that question so many times and I couldn't even fucking answer it. I was like, tell me. She's like, I'm not telling you. How do you want to do business? And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I remember saying to her then, I want to get, and even beyond business, I want to get an investment property maybe next year, like at the end of next year, if not the year after, would be so fucking cool. Like, I was setting all of these goals with her, and we changed some things around. I launched my intensives not long after. They worked so incredibly well. The results from them were incredible. Clients started coming to me because the results that my clients were getting were fucking astronomical, like out of this world. Like, go to my Instagram, look at my highlight of my client results. You will see from that November, that's where it's just non-fucking stop. Like, it is so fucking cool, and I'm so proud of my clients. Like, it blows my mind. That's where so much changed for me. And then coming into that year, or like 2025 now, I was still working hard, but it was in just such an intentional way, because I knew exactly where to focus. I knew exactly what was going to move the needle. I knew exactly how to have a clear role description for my employee, rather than being told stupid fucking advice of like, just get her as a subcontractor. Anywho. But so much fucking changed for me. My partner and I were doing like goal setting at our friend's house in Jan of this year. And I remember him saying like August investment property. And I was like, you're fucking dreaming. Like, where are we actually pulling that money from? Like, you're fucking dreaming. The next month, we got an opportunity to purchase an investment property in February. We settled on that property. It was a longer settlement in June. We renovated it for 9 weeks, increased the equity by $150,000 in 9 weeks. And we have an investment property. And I was just like, this year has just been the year where so much has changed after that, because if you know things with purchasing properties and things like that, you want enough, it's such a weird thing, you want enough time being a sole trader for like your proof of income. So it was like, what comes first, chicken or the egg? Then once that I had that, could get the property, then transition for asset protection into the company. My partner and I now have a trust together. Like, this year, so much change. We traveled overseas together still. And that was really the journey of, how I got from like through this whole industry to really finding my thing. And I remember saying to Dad, I was like, I reckon the moment I change to consultant, watch everyone fucking copy me. Look at how many consultants are online now. And not that that's like exclusive to a person, but I just find it so fucking interesting. And the consultants, like, they wouldn't actually consult. And it's just been so cool coming into my own lane of how I do things that genuinely gets fucking results, and people try and replicate it and copy it, but they fucking can't. I've had so many clients that have worked with me for such a long period of time, maybe changed. I had a call with someone the other day. She's like, oh, not going to lie. She was one of my first 6-week intensive clients late last year. I was like, oh my God, it's been a year since we had our intensive together. And she's like, oh, not going to lie. I went to someone else who was like, bigger in the industry in like consulting, and she was so shit, and she was so much more expensive than you, and it was just shit. And I was like, So just being that person that doesn't fucking cut off things with people, like I trust everyone's evolution and journey in business. And I also know I'm not the person that has the answers for everyone. Like I don't try and play this fucking God superiority complex that a lot of people in the coaching industry do. And I've had clients that have been with me for so fucking long. And in the middle of this year, to kind of celebrate going to a company, I was like, what can I do to actually just give back to my clients and just like say thank you? And I invited over about 30 of my clients. I think there was maybe 20 of us in total that ended up being able to come locally. That were like my longest term clients and current clients, to a lunch to celebrate. And I was like on the house, lunch together, and just sitting there looking at a room full of women that I have supported in their business, and we've worked together and they've trusted me with their business. Women and one man. And Trav was there, can't forget him. But I'm just like, wow, like I fucking built this purely because I came into my own lane. And that's such a big piece of why I do what I do with my clients. Is I'm that person that's, how do you want to do business? Like, are you a mum? Is it important for you to actually just work 3 days a week and not try, or 2 days a week, and not try and take on what society and social media tells you makes you a successful business owner? We actually just build a business that allows you to support your family, that doesn't make you fucking stressed, that allows you to sleep at night. Or do you want to send it into a big agency? Okay, cool, let's do that. But the biggest piece is me not telling my clients how they should do things, because it just becomes about me, and that's not the point of my role. So it's been really cool to just see where, when you come into your own lane and you do your own thing, how much of an impact that can create. And then something I'm so big on in that is also allowing your business to be a vehicle for the life that you want to build. So building a property portfolio is massive for Isaac and I, and what that we want to build, and, you know, doing renovations and things like that. And yeah, being able to now be at this stage in life where we're going into becoming parents together and go, wow, we've fucking built a lot. Like, I'm 24 and I have built a lot, and I think a lot of people could call me lucky or insert the thing, but again, I'm like, I did not waste away my 20s. I wasn't, and not that it's a waste away, but like, I wasn't partying. I literally was saying to Isaac, I think I've had, obviously now I'm pregnant, I've been pregnant since September, but like I've maybe had a handful of alcoholic drinks. Like, we don't drink, don't do drugs. Like, I didn't, you know, fucking waste away my 20s doing that. I decided to put my head down and get to fucking work. And that's why I have the results that I do. And that's the type of client that I work with, is like, they're at a phase in life where, whether they're 30, 35, 24, 19, where they're like, no, I'm ready to fucking work. And I'm not the kind of coach that's like, I truly believe business ownership is only for a handful of people, and you can't teach the discipline and resilience and the mindset that it takes to get there. You can build on it, but it's not going to be anyone else but fucking you. Like, truly. And that's something that I'm so big on, that I think a lot of people wouldn't realize about myself. Like, I have dealt with some shit behind the scenes this year, like trying to be fucking, like, legal threats, like all of the things, like actually cooked, plus things in my personal life. You would not know. I don't show up online any differently. I'm not fucking leaky online. I'm not leaky with my clients, but I have the mindset of, I have bigger fucking fish to fry. I feel the feels, and I literally just still fucking lead. And I'm not the kind of person that, like, because a post didn't perform well, or you've got like a small fucking problem, like, I'm not going to, I'll support you and hold you in shit, because that's life, and that is holding, you know, the human behind the business. But please do not come to me if you're the person that like needs to be taught how to be fucking disciplined, because no, like, you just have to be disciplined, and that's the phase you have to be in, is like, you're ready to actually fucking execute, and that's how that you're going to get results. And it comes from just chucking yourself in the deep end, and you have to fucking swim. You have to swim. You have to have your back up against a wall to a certain degree. And I think too many people treat business as like this cool option. Like, if you genuinely want to succeed, you have to make it a thing. And like I was saying too, like, I wasn't at this phase in business where I had, like, I had money, I had a good job, all of the things, and I was still turning over like that $17,000 a month is what I was at, right? And it wasn't like I had to be back up against a wall, like, I have to put food on the table. And I think that's such a huge transition that people go in business. A lot of the time they start in that, which is perfect and fine. But then moving to a space in business of, okay, how can we just go from good to even better, versus almost having to unconsciously create these problems in your life because that's the only way you know how to move is from problems versus how good does it actually get to be? Can it get better from here, if that makes sense? So that has been my whole business journey. In amongst that, I know I quickly touched on this, but I met my partner, soon to be dad, what the hell, it must have been end of 2021. No, because we've dated for 3 years now and it's 2025. End of 2022 must be. I don't even know. 3 years. We're at 3 years now. So whatever the math is on that. But we met right before, or we started dating rather right before the Christmas. And obviously we're 10 days away from Christmas today. So yeah, I came out of a fucking situationship and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to Europe with the girls in 6 months, all of the things. And I saw him at the gym and we'd both been training there for years, never really came across each other or anything like that. Asked him for a spot at the gym and I remember he smelled so good. Smelled so freaking good. And I was like, I think I just met my future husband. Mind you, we didn't know each other's names. He literally just gave me a spot on shoulder press, just getting the dumbbells up. 17.5 kilos, mind you. We weren't being a pussy. And I feel like we both almost just knew from that moment. Didn't see him for 2 weeks. Saw him there training with his friend. I was meant to train back, I think, back and buys. And I was like, fuck it, I'm changing my days around. I need to train shoulders again because I need this man to spot me. And I went up to him. God, I was ballsy with his mate. I was like, hey, can you spot me again? And he was like, yeah. We were just on. And I was like, I'm Taylor, by the way. He's like, I'm Isaac. And then he came up to me afterwards. I think I was on bicep curls or something. And he was like, hey, can I have your Instagram? And I was like, yeah. We went for a beach walk that afternoon. A few days later, we had dinner. A few days later, actually, he took me out for dinner at a restaurant. A few days later, I went to his house. We had dinner at his house. And then the rest was honestly history because we're kind of in that Christmas period where I wasn't working as much. He was off work for 2 weeks, saw each other every day. And I was like, this is my fucking husband. I just knew this is going to be the dad of my child. And we moved in together once I was back from Europe. So maybe 7 months in. So moved in pretty quickly, I would say. Moved in together, moved and got our own house after maybe 2 months because I was in a share house with my best friend. And then we moved out, got our own house together, got our own dog together, maybe not long after that again, maybe after living together for 8 months or something, traveled overseas. And yeah, he's just honestly the best fucking human and has just been such a rock for me in these ones of business. And I think that's such an underrated piece of business is just having a person that can just be your rock. And I think what's been cool in it is I started this and built this without him, but now we've grown it together. He's now in my trust and all of the things we have at property together. So I'm really, really big on having a fucking incredible, beautiful relationship. And yeah, having areas in your life that you're proud of beyond business, and our relationship is something that I'm so incredibly proud of. I don't know if it's the hormones in me, but I could literally cry just talking about it. I'm the fact that he's literally we have a fucking baby together is actually wild. So that is my life. That is who I am. And that's just what I'm here for. And I just am someone that really values loyalty and honesty and integrity and just being the best fucking human. Truly, that's who I am. And I think for the longest time I've tried to be other people or be the really outgoing, loud person in a room because that's what I think makes you successful or magnetic or what people like. And I really am just the person, I probably won't be the person that goes up to someone and introduces myself right away unless it's Isaac. Unless I'm trying to hit on someone. But I am more of that reserved person. And then once you meet me, I am pretty rogue and I am pretty out the gate. I keep my circle really close and I'm very intentional with, what I share. And for the longest time, I made that wrong. For the longest time, I was like, clients aren't going to like that. People aren't going to like that, whatever it might be. But I've really just come into such a peaceful place in my life of this is who I am. Take it or leave it. I'm going to be the most direct person. If I see something that I don't like or that I believe is get wrong in how you're treating someone, I'm going to be the one to say it. So yeah, that's me. Welcome to my life. I'm the host behind this podcast, the owner and the lead consultant at Strategic Haus, Taylor Lee. That's who I am. You're not going to know my last name. That fun fact, Lee is actually my middle name. And that's me. And if you're into star signs, I have recently discovered I am a Virgo Libra cusp, literally 0 degrees. So I didn't realize that with your star signs, you are like a certain degree. So you might be like 5 degrees, whatever. I got a reading. I'm actually bang on in the middle, which my life suddenly made sense because I am a Virgo through and through, but then I also have pieces of a Libra. So that's me. If you're into star signs, that's who I am. You're going to get like the direct type A-ness, but then type A-ness. Guys, I'm keeping that in. That is actually so fucked. I'm type A is what I was going to say. You get me? But then, yeah, I'm also like the playful, weird, like quirky part of a Libra, but then like that part that's like really like take up space. Like I'm not like that. I'm pretty reserved and chill unless, again, I'm with like my close circle of friends and then I'm pretty rogue and out the gate. As you can tell by that, whatever the fuck just fell out of my mouth. And I'm also a big fat swearer. So that's me. And there's not going to be bleeps in this podcast because that is me. So yeah, if you want a part 2 or if that podcast evoked questions and you have any questions for me, chuck them in the comment section of this podcast and or DM me on Instagram. But if we can go do a little thread in the comments below this or let me know how that you felt about this podcast, please comment. I love seeing them. I didn't realize that you actually had podcast comments until like a few months ago. And I'm like, I fucking love this. So please comment below any questions and I could definitely do an updated kind of Q&A episode. If you want something more about like the whole pregnancy spiel, I actually have an episode I recorded in Japan under some doonas where I was briefly chatting about some things, but feel free to hit me with any of the questions. The more content, the better. We also have a exclusive community coming. If you're listening to this a little bit after real time that this was released, have a squiz where it will be for exclusive content. If you're wanting to kind of come into my world, my spaces, but maybe you're not quite there with budget or you just want to kind of dip your toe in, it's the space for you. So have a squiz for that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me literally yap about myself for like 45 minutes, however long that was. But I'm so happy to have you here. For this podcast, you get notified with any new episodes. We are also on YouTube as well. You can follow me on Instagram. We'll have it all linked below. But yeah, slide into my DMs. I love connecting with you guys. It's so special that I have this community with people all across the world and I don't take it for granted. But thank you for being here. I hope you have the most incredible rest of your day whenever you're listening to this, and I will see you in the next episode. And that's another episode of Simply Business. I would love for you to rate this podcast, comment below if you have any feedback, DM me on Instagram, and even better, share it with your friends, family, or share on Instagram. See you in the next episode.